Let us drain our cups to these three strong bastards!
When you look at the dragons, what do you see?
When dragons flew to war, everything burned. I do not wish to rule over a kingdom of ash and bone.
Aegon Targaryen sits the Iron Throne.
The crown cannot stand strong if the house of the dragon remains divided.
Men would sooner put the realm to the torch than see a woman ascend the Iron Throne.
The princess has a dragon, you dumb cunt.
Have your tongue for that.
He can keep his tongue. Dreams didn't make us kings. Dragons did.
Dracarys!
Welcome back. My name is Kit.
I'm Andy. And I am Steve.
And this is Streaming Things, streaming House of the Dragon.
It's been too long.
We are back.
Oh, man.
Boys are back in town.
Season 2 has commenced today. Actually, you might be listening to this late Sunday evening because we were hot off the press. Who knows?
You don't know.
Yeah, we don't know.
You don't know.
But it's definitely at least Monday. But welcome. Hopefully you're returning from listening to us covering House of the Dragon Season 1 at the very least. If you dipped out for all of the boys and the Yellow Jackets and the Lost and the fun games, you missed out, but welcome back.
Yeah, welcome back.
It's good to have you again. We're just grateful to ever have had you at all.
Unless you're Team Green.
That's true. Unironic Team Greens, not welcome here. But yeah, it's good to be. Oh God, I love this universe. So what we're going to do, we're going to cover each of the 8 episodes of House of the Dragon Season 2 right after they air. We watch them together, head over straight to the microphone. So we're going to do our overall thoughts on each episode, followed by a scene-by-scene, play-by-play recap, a full recap of each episode. And then we get some fun segments at the end. Valyrian Steels is what we call our top 3 favorite moments of the episode. And then we've got our Dragon Eggs segment where we talk about some Easter eggs, maybe some book lore, because we've all read the book a couple of times as well. We're going to be comparing the two as we go through without spoilers for, future episodes, of course. And then our Mummer's Dragon segment where we talk about our favorite performance of the episode. And that's how we're going to cap all of that off. So that's what you're in store for this season of House of the Dragon. Welcome and enjoy.
So excited. Are you guys excited? Dude. Are you just excited to be back in the world of Westeros?
Yeah, it's new eppies. It's been years.
Yeah.
This is exciting stuff.
This is my favorite thing.
We're covering Game of Thrones, and that's super fun diving back into the old school. But this is new shit.
On patreon.com/streaming things. Check it out if you want to see our coverage of Game of Thrones Season 1.
It's a terrible plug.
Hey, always be plugging. It doesn't have to be good. It just has to be a plug.
No,
I respect it.
I understand what Andy's saying. Like, this is like new juice, right?
Mm-hmm.
So it's on a different level. But yeah, I mean, anybody who enjoys this, what Steve was saying, I think is super up your alley. If you didn't know, we're going back through, and we just started the entirety of Game of Thrones. Over at patreon.com/streaming things. So every Wednesday, there's a new Game of Thrones episode. We're on like 5 of season 1.
It's a way better plug.
I just didn't want him to miss any of that info. And we've had tons of people joining for that and really having a good time.
It is fun to compare and contrast because we just reviewed episode 5 of Game of Thrones season 1, The Wolf and the Lion, and just seeing the difference in the way the two properties look, to see how far the series of Game of Thrones /
Like
House
just
of
the
the
Red
Dragon,
Keep even.
The Red Keep looks Winterfell. We see Winterfell in this episode. Like, just seeing how far they've progressed in the visuals of the show is just kind of, it's just, wow. Look how far they've come. How incredible is that?
Look at us.
I feel like we're part of it. Look what we've done. We've come so far.
Yeah.
You're welcome, Warner Brothers. But let's dive in. There's lots of good stuff on Patreon. A lot of you guys already know that. We definitely recommend you go there. There's new House of the Dragon streaming things merch.
Yeah.
To look forward to as well in our merch store. The links in the show notes, but also in our link tree on all of our socials.
Do you like a certain Big Red Noodly Boy?
If you do,
then you should go to the merch store and buy a Big Red Noodly Boy shirt.
Caraxes fans, you are in luck, of which there are many.
There are dozens of us.
And you can email the show at streamingthingspod@gmail.com to join the conversation. Normally at the end of every season like this, we do a mailbag episode with all of your thoughts. There's the shirt if you're watching on the YouTube. And all of your thoughts can be emailed there, and we can read out your thoughts on each of these episodes. and join the show conversation that way. So let's dive into House of the Dragon season 2, episode 1, A Son for a Son. I haven't talked to you guys at all about your thoughts on this.
I know, right?
So let's
jump right in.
Let's get into it. Andy,
yes.
What are your overall thoughts on this episode?
More than anything, it just felt good to be back. It didn't feel like this episode got as far as I would have expected it to, considering that it's a shortened season. They're like, we got 8 episodes worth of material, not 10 this time. So let's jump right in. And so it went a little bit slower than I thought it would. I think it was important, though, that they spend a lot of time with all of these people kind of dealing with the aftermath of what happened at the end of the last season and, kind of setting the pieces on the board. I get the feeling that we're going to start moving a lot faster after this episode, but I loved it.
Awesome. Steve, what are you thinking about over there? What are you noodling on, noodly boy?
I kind of agree with Andy where it's just really, really good to be back in this world. I mean, the part of the joy about House of the Dragon is you take a lot of, I was getting giddy about seeing certain locations that we haven't really gotten a chance to see brought to the screen before. Like there's a point where I'm like, are we at Hull? Is this Hull? The town of Hull? And that's like the nerdiest thing I think I've done in a long time.
The whole episode.
Guys,
it's actually pretty annoying.
Is this Hull? Guys, Hull? And Chris is like, yeah, man, just get past it. But so it's really, really fun to be back in the world. I like the slower pace. I actually prefer this pace of an episode, but I kind of forgot until you just said it, Andy, that the season's only 8 episodes long. So like that is a concern, because if this was a 10 episodes season, this pace would be like, all right, I like the slower, methodical, like let's see how everyone's doing. Let's check in with all our characters. It was great to see where everyone was. There was some really great suspense and build up in this episode. There's very tense scenes. There was Ramin Djawadi's score singing just absolutely on all cylinders in this episode. The music really took me places in this episode specifically. It took me to Hull, just one of many locations. There's Hull and others that are not Hull.
That's the entire intro sequence.
Yeah, it's just the tapestry, like spelling out the word Hull for a minute and a half. Yeah, I think the show, if there's one criticism I want to levy towards the show, it's that it is still a little difficult to sort of pin down people's ages in this series specifically. I think because they like, all right, we're sticking with this actor in this season, but they're supposed to be clearly like either way older or way younger than they look. And that is like just, I think it's no fault of the actors because they're doing all amazing work, but it is a little funny just to be like, aren't you supposed to be like 70? You look great. My God. But that's more of a nit or a pick, if you will.
Sure.
Than anything. But it's fun to be back. I'm excited for the rest of the season. And the episode got to end on a pretty big moment of the books. And so that was really cool to kind of see come to the screen and kind of see the differences between how it's depicted in the book versus how it's depicted in the show, which is something that I think we all assumed would happen the way it happened, but we'll get there when we get into the recap. But Kit, what were your thoughts? And also you went to the premiere. Tell us a little bit about that.
This was my second time watching the show, and the first time was at the world premiere in New York, and I'm very, very grateful that I was invited to go do that. And it's really funny because you talk about being so excited when they went to Hull, but I think that's what makes something like this fun when you really delve into it on a nerd level like that. I was sitting next to JJ, who was on our show 2 years ago when season 1 was about to come out, and we did a big like House of the Dragon kind of discussion and recap ahead of its release back then. And she's kind of a parasocial friend of mine. So I was sitting next to her, and when Winterfell first came up and we were watching it on a big theater screen, she like lost her mind and did like a little giddy dance and then like kind of leaned toward me, and afterwards at the after party, whoever was sitting behind us came up to us and was like, it was so fun watching all of your reactions. Somebody who's like a fan of the show, but not like to that level. So they just kind of had this like vicarious, like, why is she freaking out? What's that? And she was just excited to see Winterfell.
What is this wall?
I love Winterfall. But that's where the Tony Starks are from.
They were like, hey, we had so much more fun just kind of like watching you in the corner of our eye. and kind of making us lean in. So, I do think that's a new level to it. But yeah, like Andy said, it's just so good to be in this world. It's my favorite universe of all time. People that listen to season 1 coverage or our Game of Thrones coverage know how long I've been reading these books and how much it means to me and how many fucking swords I have in my room and stuff like that. But I think, it's mostly a home run. I've got some, not even quibbles. I just have some queries. I'm excited to hear what you guys think about certain things, certain changes in the books, from the books rather. And ultimately, I like the pace a lot. I really think I applaud them for taking the time that they spent specifically depicting Rhaenyra and her grieving process, which I think took up the bulk of the episode as far as like the different pacing than what you might have expected.
Yeah, and you can make an argument that I could see someone being like, oh, they sidelined Rhaenyra for an episode, but I think that was good. Like how you saw her, like she's not really interacting with anybody. She's on her own personal journey. That's great. Yeah,
and that interaction that Daemon and Rhaenys had about Rhaenyra and the mother's perspective of a grieving process. I appreciated all that. They didn't have to do that. They could have moved faster. I am specifically wondering what you guys thought of the depiction of blood and cheese. And that's what all of our listeners are going to be wondering and thinking about and talking about online. There's some big changes there. And I know we're going to talk about it when we get to it at the end. So I guess we'll leave it for that. But that's kind of the meat of this episode as far as how did they handle that and how did that go? But ultimately, I love this episode. I'm excited to see where else it goes. No notes, except for all of the notes that I took.
Other than those, notes.
Let's start off on the recap. We got a completely new intro to the show.
How fun. What'd you guys think of that?
Game of Thrones was consistent throughout. House of the Dragon had its own like blood gullies thing.
Yeah.
And the family tree.
And they've changed that completely now to this tapestry. Steve, I'm gonna kind of throw it to you just because you spent an extra few minutes kind of playing that intro over and over and taking notes and looking at it.
Yeah, it's definitely.
What did you find?
It's definitely a departure because before we, like you said, it's just this like river of blood kind of showcasing. It's an educational tool in the way that the original Game of Thrones animation was an educational tool to sort of let people know this is the world, this is where this place is, that place is. Gives you a sense of scale for for Westeros. The season 1 Hot D intro gave you a sense of what the actual Targaryen bloodline is, and I thought that was a really creative way to showcase that. And now I don't really know the actual like purpose of this other than to sort of recap. It looks more like a recap sort of situation. And so I kind of sat through and took notes and tried to figure out like what they were depicting as best as I could. So the things that are definitely depicted, there's the Doom of Valyria. There's Aegon's conquest because you see Aegon, Visenya, and Rhaenys. And then it shows, I think it's the destruction of Harrenhal, but I don't know. We kind of thought, well, maybe that's Harrenhal being burned, or maybe that's just a depiction of destruction in general over the land. We see everyone kneeling. The people who are kneeling, you see one's wearing a sigil of the Starks, one's a sigil of the Aarons, one's a sigil of the Tullys. I couldn't make out what the fourth one was. We see King's Landing being built. Obviously, Aegon the Conqueror made King's Landing.
That's where he landed.
That's where he landed. It's in the name. We see Maegor the Cruel dead on the throne. He was the one who became the second king. He was a cruel dude. In general.
He was.
Yeah.
Pretty cruel dude.
Yeah.
Maegor the cruel dude.
Or is he the second king, or is he technically the third one?
He's technically the third.
Technically the third one, yeah. And then we see young Jaehaerys and the good Alysanne, his wife. We see them, the old versions of them at the Great Council, where they nominated Viserys to be his heir. We see Alicent's green dress, that really big, important moment from last season, but also it's juxtaposed with Rhaenyra wearing her black outfit. Then we see King Aegon on the throne. Rhaenyra is on the throne. One little bit of fun was they showed the two of them, and they showed like a four-squared image where they're at the top and at the bottom. There's a green hand sending out ravens and a black hand sending out dragons, which is how they sent people to notify them like, oh, I'm king. No, I'm queen. And then last we see Vhagar and Aemond killing Lucerys and his dragon. Arax, is that his name?
Arax.
Yeah.
So it's like a previously on tapestry.
Yeah.
Love it.
I think it's really important to have what Game of Thrones has always had, which is that kind of like intro that kind of helps place you in the universe. Because when you're reading a giant fantasy novel, you always go back to consult the map.
Okay, where the
in
fuck
the
are you
middle,
talking about?
or even like the appendices. Like,
Is this Hull?
What's a gleegalon? I forget. Oh, okay. It's like a whip used for sexual things. Got it.
A Gleegalon?
Gleegalon.
Is that real?
No, I just
I was like, tell me
just
more.
I was like, knowing you, it would not shock me if you knew the name of a weird like
a sex toy that Littlefinger employs.
Sex toy from like the Dark Ages. Like, oh, this is a Gleegalon.
Everybody knows about that. No. I completely made that up, and you're both fools. But yeah, so we got the new intro, and then it opens with a crow flying. In this universe, it might be a raven. We actually got a really neat note from a patron. I didn't verify, so this can be completely made up, and they would have gotten me. But we talked about it on our Game of Thrones coverage. It's interesting that they call him the three-eyed raven in the show, but the three-eyed crow in the book. And somebody posited a possible reason for that, other than, like I said, just trying to prevent people from being confused because there's so many crows in the Night's Watch. That ravens, as far as like TV is concerned, can actually be trained to do things. And crows historically cannot. They won't listen
because they're assholes.
So, and I guess to avoid people saying that's not a crow, that's a raven. They just changed it to that so they could actually train one for the show. I don't know. That's interesting.
Nerdy bird people.
Yeah, we don't want to piss the nerdy bird people off. They're
ornithologists.
They're basically the Zack Snyder fans of the zoological community.
Release the Raven cut.
Anyway, so we get this crow flying, and we get to see Winterfell for the first time in House of the Dragon. So the first time since Game of Thrones.
Fun!
God, it's good to be back.
What'd you guys think of it? Did it look good?
Looks pretty similar to how it does 200 years later.
But like way bigger and like more detailed, I felt like. But also just being back, we get introduced to Cregan Stark, a fan favorite character from Fire and Blood, is now in the story full on. And there's this interesting bit of lore about this, like a Night's Watch lottery.
Yeah.
Back, this is
110.
172 years before the events of Game of Thrones. So it's when the Watch was a little bit more prestigious,
respectable.
Yeah, 1 in 10 members of the House every winter got selected.
I mean, he didn't look super hyped that he drew the Blackstone.
Yeah, and it's not a bad thing. We love it. And he's
can't fucking wait.
It's not a sentence, but an honor.
I don't know if this is maybe going too far, but I felt like they had Cregan put on an air of a Jon Snow accent to kind of make it like a regional thing and not him being a goof.
Oh, he 100%. Like
Absolutely.
in my notes, I actually wrote he's doing his best attempt at Jon Snow.
Right?
Yeah, because it's pretty like do Kit Harington.
I know nothing.
I know nothing. It's not a sentence, but an honor.
What if he just started saying Jon Snow quotes? Stick him with the pointy end.
He was younger than I expected, for sure.
Cregan?
Yeah.
He's supposed to be pretty young. So, yeah, that was a good thing. The casting's, I think, on point.
It is weird not seeing a Stark without facial hair.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, he could grow some.
It must get cold up there.
Your cheeks are going to get cold, man.
Yeah.
Your cheeks are going to chap. Nobody wants chapped cheeks on the wall.
No, especially not on the wall.
He's also carrying ice, which
was pretty cool.
It's awesome, but it's like that's not a sword you actually use in battle. It's like a giant ceremonial.
Well, he was doing beheadings earlier in the day.
Yeah.
I don't want to drop it back off at the house. We're going to the wall.
Yeah.
I mean, they just put it there so you could be like, ooh, I remember that.
Ooh, ice.
But it's funny that maybe he's just a baller. And he's like, I do use it.
Yeah.
Just takes me a while to swing this motherfucker. I got my guards just in case somebody gets in close. Get him. I'm not ready. Yeah, but it opens with Jacaerys and Cregan Stark on the wall, and he's doing his mother's bidding. If you remember, at the end of season 1, Luke was supposed to take the shorter, safer flight to fly to Storm's End to remind Boros Baratheon of his vow to support Rhaenyra. Whereas Jacaerys, the older kid, was supposed to fly to the Vale to secure the Vale support, and then fly to Lord Manderley at what's it, White Harbor?
White Harbor.
To get their support, and then up to Winterfell. So that's a much more dangerous route, they thought. And now he's at the end of that asking Cregan Stark if he's going to support, honor his vow.
Yeah, he says, I got 2,000 old fucks that you can have.
Yeah.
They've seen too many winters as it is.
Do you think Jason
you can have the gray beards?
Was Jason disappointed where he flew to Winterfell and was like, all right, where's Cregan? Oh, he's up the wall. fuck. It's cold up there. I don't want to go up there.
Well, it's interesting because in the book, I don't want to give too much away for people that haven't read it, but he spends quite a bit of time at Winterfell itself. And so I don't know if we're supposed to have believed that he's just been hanging out with Cregan as he did in the book, or how much more we're going to get of that.
His hair is a lot longer. That's for sure.
Yeah, he's just been chilling, literally, because it's cold up there.
Yeah. Actually, I didn't recognize him when he first walked on screen.
Yeah, you both thought he was recast.
I didn't think it was recast. I thought it was a completely different character.
Oh.
They mentioned like, oh, it's nice that you didn't bring your dragon with you. And I was like, who has a dragon? I thought it was Daemon for a second. Is that his name?
Darren?
Darren, the other Targaryen kid that hasn't appered yet in the show.
Has Darren the Daring been confirmed to exist?
I don't know.
In the show? I don't recall.
I don't think they've... I can't remember.
Because Helena has 3 children as well, and it doesn't look like they're going to have Maelor be a thing. We'll talk about that at the end. It's actually really important and different, but they keep kind of taking kids away. But I get it. There's a lot of characters. And honestly, I can't imagine a non-book reader understanding a ton of what's going on. I'm sure they're doing a great job because a lot of people love the show, but I don't have the lived experience as a non-book reader, for a lifetime long book reader of this, being like, who's that?
Yeah.
What's that? A high tower who?
Read the books. I still get that experience sometimes.
Sometimes, yeah, it's a lot. But yeah, so Jason, Cregan, Stark are up there. We get this little bit of backstory about, old kings that met on the wall. They're kind of just being polite. And he does tell the story about how dragons couldn't cross the wall. So again, they're taking time to hint to the future events of Game of Thrones and like the real threat of the others and the White Walkers, which I appreciate.
I think they nailed that because I remember reading that section of Fire and Blood where in Fire and Blood, they're specifically recounting the history of Jaehaerys and Alysanne, how they went to the wall. They're doing the same story. But they mentioned in the book like how the dragons would not cross the wall. And I remember when I first read that in the book thinking like, ooh, it's giving me chills. Like that's spooky. And so when they kind of recount that in the show, it's like, oh man, that is like a really spine chilling thing. Like why wouldn't these powerful magical creatures be like, nope, done.
Yeah.
It can't be just because it's cold.
I like that it's been thousands of years since the last walkers were seen though. And I think it's so funny when he's like, you think my ancestors built this 700-foot wall of ice to keep out snow and savages? It's like, what does it keep out then?
Other stuff.
Exactly. He doesn't know either, right? It's like,
have you heard of Grumpkins or Snarks?
Really bad things you wouldn't understand. I like how my Jon Snow is just like a bastardized Arnold Schwarzenegger.
You wouldn't understand. There's a Terminator out there, maybe a Predator. Come on.
You son of a... You've been pushing too many pencils, Jaehaerys.
Jaehaerys Valyrian, you son of a bitch.
And they clasp hands.
Yeah.
But he does ultimately say, look, man, I want to support you. You're my bro. He daps him up. And he's like, but I'll be looking north and south. And Jaehaerys is like, what?
Sometimes left and right.
I got all kinds of places I have to look, man. But I will send you all of my old men that I don't need anyway, okay? A lot of them are creepy. They will pinch butts.
Hey, Jace. Working out, my young stud.
I didn't think they'd pinch my butt. Oh, yeah, they don't really care. All of them.
Oh, if it's a butt, I'm pinching.
Hey, Jace.
Well, the queen will be honored to have any swords, I guess. Oh, yeah. Can't wait to meet her.
Let's shake on it. I mean, pinching.
So, yeah, he sent all his creepy old men of the north. But seriously, though, these northerners, they fight. Yeah. They're tough. And even the old bastards are tougher than most southerners, right? That's something. But then
fight like northerners.
Is that good? I've never been up here. Oh, yeah. Super good.
Super cool. Sometimes, Capoeira style, we could do that.
They get different martial arts that they've learned.
We know judo. We know taekwondo.
We know Krav Maga.
Krav Maga.
Yep. Cold Maga is what we call it.
Do you know gun kata? We know gun kata.
That's right. From Equilibrium. Yeah. But then they get urgent news. A raven from the south arrives. And I love this look because it's the news of Luke's death, right? And Cregan is like, there's such empathy in that. Like he reads it and he's like, ooh, this isn't for me, my lord. Yeah, so that's bad news. But then we cut to Meleys returning, being ridden by Rhaenys, of course, the queen that never was.
That beautiful Meleys.
And Meleys and Rhaenys have been patrolling the gullet, the blockade that the Valyrian fleet is imposing upon King's Landing. And her job is to make sure that no dragons come and raise the fleet down and break the blockade. So she's returning. She's exhausted from that. The dragon needs to eat. She needs a nappy and a bath. Everybody knows what's up. Daemon comes right out and says, get back on your dragon. We're going to go kill Vhagar and Aemond. I can't take that hoary old bitch by myself. I need you. But Caraxes and Meleys could probably take Vhagar. Is what he's thinking.
He's so fucking down. I respect him.
Daemon?
Yeah.
He's been stewing for like a couple days, just pacing back and forth. Like, I just want to fucking kill.
Let's go fucking fight the biggest, scariest fucking dragon that ever existed. You and me. Come on.
We got this.
We got to get that farty old bitch.
You think Caraxes and Meleys could take Vhagar?
I forgot about the farty old bitch.
That farty old bitch Vhagar. Could Meleys and Caraxes take on Vhagar? I think maybe.
Yeah.
It'd be close. Caraxes is super battle hardened.
Yeah.
Meleys in the book is described as kind of older and lazier, but still ferocious.
Yeah. It's like a cat.
I don't know. I think so. But it's interesting how they depict Daemon in this show, because throughout this part of the book, Daemon is actually much more tactical. And I think what the show is doing makes more sense for everything else that we know about his personality.
Yeah.
Because in the book, he's like, all right, guys, we need to chill. Let's be smart about this. I'm going to go to Harrenhal, da-da-da-da-da, and everything else that's about to happen is kind of Daemon's idea. But in the show, he's like, I'm king. And they're like, no, you're not. And he's like, I want to fuck shit up, but I want to be. And they're like, well, just chill, bro. You're not king. And it's just, I don't know. It's interesting because
I really want to.
He's the only one out of all of that crew, other than Corlys, who has fought in many, many battles and knows what he's doing.
Yeah.
It's interesting. I don't know. Just something worth thinking about. But yeah, he comes out and Rhaenys is like, hey, chill. You're not the king. And Rhaenyra is grieving, because he's mad. While the mother grieves, the queen shirks her duties. He's kind of pissed off that she kind of dipped out for a couple of days to go look for Luke's body.
She has a great line on him where he says something like, well, while she's out there, what if she comes across Vhagar and Aemond? Because she's looking for proof of Lucerys' death.
Yeah, and he's like, she's a fool for going alone.
And yeah, Rhaenys is like, I pity Aemond if she comes across the two of them.
You can kind of see a smirk. Like Matt Smith is so good. Like he's like, yeah, she would be fucking crazy too. That's hot. And there's this bit about where he kind of gives Rhaenys shit too. Like if you had acted, then you would have saved Luke and all this would be over. Meaning when she was at the Dragon Pit and confronted the entire royal family on Meleys, which a lot of the fans took issue with. So I wonder if that's a little bit of the showrunners being like, let's in universe acknowledge some flaws here. That's how I took it, at least.
Well, there's also a lot of shade being thrown to different characters throughout the episode of like, oh, if you had just done the thing in the last episode of the season, we wouldn't be here. Like that happens like 3 or 4 times in this episode.
Yeah. Big theme of this episode is nothing is going according to plan.
Yeah.
Which is true. It's all going to shit. But at the very end, she struts away to go relax and get back on her patrol later.
Drink a wine cooler.
Yeah. A White Claw, I'd imagine. Rhaenys. She's giving Peach White Claw.
Peach White Claw.
Is that a thing? I don't know. I've never had one.
She's giving mom water.
Mom water.
That's a seltzer.
Seltzer?
Yeah.
I love mom water.
Do you think she's drinking the Karen or the Susan?
I don't understand.
That's the flavors.
What are the two flavors? Lemon and lime?
I actually don't know which one's which. But all the mom water flavors are like mom names. Like, oh, I'm drinking the Karen, which is kiwi. I don't know.
That'd be a terrible one to get.
Yeah.
It's a famously bad thing to be as a Karen.
Yeah.
I feel like I'm going to go leave a Yelp review after this beverage.
You should.
And not put my cart back.
I want to speak to the manager of this beverage.
And tell him it's awesome.
Yeah.
But he says, I command you to get back on the dragon after all their talk. And she says, would that you were king, and keeps going, right? Because
she's awesome. I love Rhaenys.
He's the king consort. He ain't shit. Then we see briefly, we cut, finally we get to see Rhaenyra looking regal and queenly and wonderful. And I love her looking for Luke, but that's brief. And then we cut to Corlys at the shipyard. And where, Steve?
Hull?
I think so.
Is it Hull? I think.
And he runs into Alan of Hull, brother of Adam of Hull, who are important, and they talk. And he says, hey, thank you so much for pulling me out of the sea. Because remember, at the end of season 1, he was believed to be near death from going to war in the Stepstones.
He's still not looking great.
He's limping. He's got a little Laris thing going on.
He's limping. His one arm is completely useless too.
You think? I didn't notice it was limp.
So he's got the
cane.
the cane arm, but then his other arm is like straight down, like he can't.
Didn't he
use it at
hold
all.
the sword that he had made for Lucerys with the other hand though?
Oh, maybe it just looked like he was.
It's just a little, not 100%.
He ain't looking great.
He's still healing,
but he still looks awesome.
I think
you know
it's
what I'm saying.
one of the
Steve
things.
Toussaint, cool dude.
Steve Toussaint is amazing, super tall as well, very nice. I got to meet him at the premiere, but I think it's interesting how cool of a character Corlys is, and you don't see any of that in the show.
Yeah,
this guy has sailed all the way to the shadow beyond Ashai, and like he's the only person living on Earth that anyone knows of that's been to like 7 different places. Not just, any one of which would be amazing.
Yeah.
And like, there's really not a whole lot of indications of that. You know what I mean? Like this dude has seen crazy magical shit, a ridiculously talented pirate and warrior. And he's just like, hello, I have a boat in the show,
Oh man, I really wish you would repair that pretty quick. I want to get my sea legs.
That boat really was in shambles too.
I thought about that. Like the barnacles, man, just scraping the barnacles. That's got to be a tough job.
And they definitely saw some action because they were like swapping blood off the deck and everything.
Oh, I've seen some action.
It was like a stick with a rag tied to it. That's going to take a long time.
That's a terrible mop. That guy needs to rethink his strategy.
That's what they gave me.
That's all I got.
I've swabbed the poop deck with this 100 times, my lord.
It's like a Q-tip with your own poop deck.
This is
what I'm saying?
This is me brother's hair I use.
Brother's hair.
He died in battle, and I thought, how can I fix me mop? And then we cut, well, it's important too. He's got that little like knife for Luke, whatever that was. And Alan is the one that rescued Corlys. So, and we cut to Auric. I want to be very clear about how I pronounce that.
Is it Eric or is it Auric?
I feel like they call them both Eric almost.
Oh, it is.
But I'm going to stress it's Auric.
It's Eric and Eric.
And Eric. Auric with an A is manning the battlements at the Red Keep, patrolling the skies. Then the alarm goes up that a dragon is nearby, and they raise all the scorpions and stuff and realize, oh, it's just Vhagar. Chill out.
What a weird thing to say. Oh, don't worry, guys. It's just Vhagar.
Yeah.
Don't worry about it.
Ours.
Just Vhagar.
It's like when I get scared that I see a dog and then I realize it's just Pippin and not Ellie.
Hello.
I'll fucking kill you. Oh God, that's Ellie. So that's what the twin brothers of the Knights of the Kingsguard are on different teams. We need to remember that. So Auric is for Aegon, A for A, and Eric has declared for Rhaenyra.
And I'm Eric.
Vote for me.
So here shortly, Eric, not Auric, says that we were 8 and 10 when we were named to the Kingsguard. And in my head, I was like, you were 8 and he was 10? Fuck, that's young.
But also they were twins.
Right, yeah. And he's over there like, the math isn't adding up.
18.
Don't get it.
But no,
I'll protect you, my lord.
Hey, how about you?
Only the strongest swordsman at my side to defend me. Bring me a child. Is the King Marty B first of his name?
Yeah. Make them fight.
Let the children fight for me.
I love it.
I was a maester in the Game of Thrones coverage, but now I'm a king.
I'm all around the globe.
I get around.
Then we cut to Aegon II now, who asks his wife and sister Helena for their son Jaehaerys. They have 2 kids. Well, the 3 in the books. It's twins, Jaehaerys, Jaehaera, and then a 3rd son, Maelor.
I love how uninspired the names.
It'd be like if you had a brother named Steve-O and a sister named Steva.
Yeah. And like I was named after my grandfather's, also named Steve,
Stevan.
who had a brother named Stefan. Like it's just all the same. Like, here's the boy, let's name him Jaehaerys. What about the girl? Shit. Didn't think about that one. Jaehaera.
Done. Well, they're twins, it's cuter when they're the same. But yeah, he asked her for Jaehaerys. Where's my heir at? I want to bring him to the small council with me. He's got to learn how to rule, even though he's like 6. Fuck it. I think it's a good time. And she's like, I don't know. He's in the library, I guess. And he walks away and she says, I'm afraid. Don't be afraid. Vhagar will protect us. No, not from dragons. I'm afraid of the rats. And then they all look around, even the maids. And I meant to say this at the top of the show, but one of my reactions after the premiere was how funny this episode was. That I did not expect. And it's almost all Aegon.
Yeah. Our queen is a mystery, huh?
Our queen is an enduring mystery.
Tom Glenn Carney is doing a great job. It's super funny, his portrayal of Aegon, but which I did not expect. Not a funny character in the book, typically.
No.
Alicent is riding Kristen Cole's face in the next scene. That's no other way to put it. He is Vhagar and she is Aemond, just going to town.
Yeah. What?
Riding it, Steve.
Oh.
Like Kristen Cole's face is the dragon.
I don't know why you said that. And for a second, I'm like, what did Aemon do to Vhagar?
To cowards, Vhagar.
Lower.
This is another huge, not change, but like, subtext of the books being brought up and explored, maybe, because Alicent fucking Kristen Cole, as I recall.
I don't remember
not a thing
being a thing.
Yeah, that's not, at least it's not explicit.
And I love the idea that Alicent is like this chaste, religious, like uptight person who has been jealous of Rhaenyra her whole life. And then Kristen Cole, spurned by Rhaenyra, would fuck. Like that makes perfect sense that they would be hypocritical in that way.
Do you think when they're having sex, the two of them are like shouting, I hate Rhaenyra.
They're
I
both
hate her
pretending
so much.
the other person is Rhaenyra.
Oh, yeah.
Well, they pull the fucking like rom-com line of like, this can never happen again. You know what I mean? They're like just telling themselves.
She knows she's being naughty and she doesn't want to do it, but she just loves riding his face. I get it.
He feels the same
I love
way.
that they fuck that night too. She's like, never again. He's like, okay, see you later.
Sure. But it's interesting that she's like, we can't do this again. But he's like, but he sticks around. Whereas when Rhaenyra kind of did a similar thing to him, he was like, oh, no.
He said, let's run away together and get married. She actually said, we're going to fuck every night, bro. It's going to be awesome, So it's very different. Whereas Alicent's like very obviously insincerely saying, you're never going to get it again. This is not yours to get ever.
You cannot
again.
have this.
Yeah, you're never going to get this. He break through his cage and he get this. Yeah, so Alicent's right in his face. And there's also this little touch of, a chill is in the air. Summer's over. Which like, is winter coming? Is that what you're saying?
Are you winter?
It's the opposite of saying it's the opposite of saying winter's coming, or a different way of saying it rather. We see a brief glimpse of one of the rat catchers that'll come into play soon in the next scene, and then the small council meeting itself. Otto is telling him how the letters to the Vale in the north have gone unanswered, which is because they have declared for Rhaenyra.
I thought it was adorable that Otto had wheeled in the medieval version of a PowerPoint presentation behind him.
I've been working on this, Your Grace.
I even put in animation when you change the slides.
If you press this one, there's music.
The Reigns of Castamir's next. It's delightful.
It's a bop.
Jaehaerys was brought to the small council meeting, the oldest son of Aegon II, and he's being a little fucker. He's like taking Tywin Lannister's little clocking in ball, and Tywin's being a child about it instead of just letting him have it. He's like,
He really is.
God damn it, I need that. Without that, I'm not going to get paid. Okay,
Please.
It's like, what does it even matter, dude?
Yeah. Just let him have it.
Such a dork.
It's very helpful, my prince. That's cute.
How's anyone going to know that I'm here if my ball isn't in its cup?
Right.
Answer me that,
Yeah.
Prince. Riddle me that. And Rhaenyra has not answered their petition for peace, of course. And I love how the Grand Maester's like, she has not apologized for the death of her son. He's like, dude, that's toast. That's over. We're fucked. We need to do we need some fire and some blood, which everybody agrees.
Yeah. But then she's like, hey, maybe if if you would also send your apologies to her, that would help. But he's like not listening at all because he's just enjoying watching his son Jaehaerys torture Tywin Lannister.
I think a pony ride is in order. Would you like to ride the Master of Coin? Wouldn't that be fun?
So is Aegon just doing at least at this point in the story, is he just doing a more fun ruling style of Joffrey Baratheon?
I mean, he's completely ill-suited for the throne, but I love that they're portraying him as somebody who's kind of trying, like once he felt it, once he was crowned and he saw, because he didn't want this at all, right? But as soon as the the small folk in the dragon pit were shouting his name. You could kind of see it then of like, ooh.
Okay.
And even when he's sitting the throne and seeing the petitioners, he's like trying to do things that he thinks are right or that will get him liked.
He's saying all the wrong things. It's amazing.
Well, according to Otto,
right?
Probably so. Well, practically wise.
Like, oh yeah, the blockade. Don't worry, Vagar's going to take care of that.
He's like trying in his own little pathetic way.
Yeah.
And whereas Joffrey's more like, everyone should take turns licking my nuts. Get down and
oh, what a lovely caprice.
Capri Sun. Do it while I drink the Capri Sun. It's like Michael Cera from This Is the End. When the chick's eating his ass and the other one's blowing him while he's drinking the Capri Sun. That's what Joffrey reminds me of. You know what I mean? Like he's definitely like a piece of, like we saw. He's a rapist. He likes to file children's teeth and make them fight. Like let's not start liking him too much.
I like him plenty.
But I feel like he is kind of trying more than we thought he would. Mm-hmm. But obviously there's the seeds planted in the show is that Larys is going to play on the fact that he's impulsive and thin-skinned and make what happens happen.
Yeah, and there's this need by Otto and Alicent to control him in some way.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, they both know he sucks. Yeah. And they're like, just let him play king for a little bit and then we'll rule the realm and he'll go back to his little child fights or whatever he does.
Come on back. Aegon, buddy, we miss you.
Marty B's holding it down. But then there's one of those digs that Steve talked about here. You know, we could have ended it immediately, those crucial first days of Viserys' death. And they all kind of look at Alicent like, we were going to kill her.
Somebody. Not naming names.
Don't kill her, don't kill her. Ruined everything. Oh, but Beesbury. Whatever that guy's name was.
Aw, don't throw shade towards Lord Beesbury.
That's me being them.
Oh, okay.
That's all.
I fell for it.
Yeah.
That would have been me in the small council. Like, oh, guys, Lord Beesbury was cool.
He was a ponderous tome, but we miss him.
He had candy in his pocket all the time.
He did. I used to fight for the North. He sent me down here. That was a Greybeard joke. Aemond shows up to the council, and nobody wants him there except Aegon's like, nah. That's my dude.
That's my brother.
He's our best swordsman and he's my brother. He's got one eye. It's super dope. I think he should be in here. And Aemond has had all of this thought out and he wants to take over the Riverlands and it's a pretty good strat.
They need a toehold at Harrenhal.
But Otto says, no. We need patience and restraint. I'm sending out ravens. That's what we're doing. We're sending ravens and relaxing. Ravens and chill, my lord. Mm-hmm. That is our play.
Ravens and relax.
That's all right. The two R, a little R and R.
Yeah.
I thought it was really interesting how Alicent was like really upset that Daemon showed up. It's like her son. And she's like, what the fuck are you doing here?
I think she wants to be in charge.
Yeah.
She knows her sons are like sociopathic. Mm-hmm. And she's like, ooh, not the other one.
She's definitely mad at Aemond for killing Lucerys.
That was a boo-boo, honey.
You done messed up. You're in the doggy house.
Remember I said, don't kill anyone and you killed people?
I really wish they would have showed that interaction.
Like her initial, like her finding out.
What'd you do?
Like, he gets home. He's like, so.
He like creeps in like.
Good news or bad news? Good news. Baratheons are in. Up top, mom. Okay.
Other bit of good news. I'm getting married. So there we go. I'm getting married to a Baratheon.
Nice, son.
Bad news is Lucerys is dead.
What?
Lucerys is dead.
Interesting.
But we got to plan a wedding.
It was Vagar's
What
fault.
happened? Vagar ate him.
He ate him? You had one job. Feeding Aegon or feeding Vagar, your cousin nephew was not one of them.
Whatever he is to me.
Cousin, nephew, brother.
It's complimented.
We're all confused.
This episode of Streaming Things is sponsored by BetterHelp.
BetterHelp.
You know, Steve, there's something I need to get off my chest.
What's that, fella?
It's been weighing on me. You know that I resigned at the day job recently, right? And I've been a little scared. There's a family to worry about. There's health insurance. There's capitalism.
Sounds like a stressful time.
But we all carry around different stressors, big and small. And it feels better when you bring something to the light and keep them bottled up. It can start to affect us negatively. And therapy is a safe space to get things off your chest and to figure out how to work through whatever's weighing you down. In my case, it's all of the stress, the misery, the fear. but I had to come over here and share that with you. And I felt better. You know, that's a real thing that happened.
Yeah.
Unloading all that on you and Erica and feeling better myself.
That's sounds like my Friday night.
Sometimes you just need somebody to listen. So if you're thinking of starting therapy, give BetterHelp a try. It's entirely online, designed to be convenient, flexible, and suited to your schedule. Just fill out a brief questionnaire to get matched with a licensed therapist and switch therapists at any time for no additional charge. If you're not vibing, that's completely fine. So get it off your chest with BetterHelp. Visit BetterHelp.com/streamingthings to get 10% off your first month. That's BetterHelp, HELP.com/streamingthings.
It's the month of June, and it's a very special month because our Patreon tiers just got a huge upgrade at patreon.com/streamingthings. And I want to thank the very special patrons who signed up to be super patrons of Streaming Things, keeping the lights on for us day in and day out. So thank you so much to Album Stinkpot, Digimon Digital Monsters with a much longer name, but I'm only saying those 3 words, Dylan Dunkleys, Stanton Valentino, Maddlestat, Susie Callahan, Anthony Corona, Parmesan, Sunshine, Ashley Hazen, Just Liz Calabria, Mike from New Hampshire, Brett X, Emily Scarano, Lil Tickler, Svento7, Jay Scramo, Bloff Pum, AK Ashley Ray, Adam Busby, Wendy O'Laughlin, Big Butthorn, Conrad, Jer Lactanovich, Kaylee Sampson, Rabbit Dog in a Barbie Car, Elpander, Charlie Friday, Alexis Adler, Peaches, Emmy, Haley B, Joe Velez, John Collins, Trisha Bueller, Sun-Loving Mortal, Suzanne Rode, Jen Robinson, Kalisha Reeves, Paula Garcia, Kevin Strother, Ashley Powers, Stephen V, Casey McCain, and Enza. Thank you all so much for supporting Streaming Things. And with that, let's get back to this episode.
Then we get Alicent and Larys in a scene outside in the hallway. And he's like seemingly, remember, he likes to jerk off to her feet.
Hey, hot feet.
He's jealous. Like, oh, I tried to come see you, but you were busy riding face or something. And she's like, what did you want then? And he's like, oh, I just want to tell you I killed a bunch of the staff. Thought you'd be proud, but whatever. I guess keep riding face like a bitch.
Is with Kristen Cole, that loser?
Whatever. So super handsome, got a sword and a huge dick, whatever.
And
you know what I have?
And 2 working feet.
None of that stuff, but I killed people. How about that?
How about that? Did he burn his father and brother alive?
Mm-mm.
No, I did.
Loser.
That's hot, right?
Yeah, he seems a little miffed, a little put out.
See my sweet cane?
I like this scene. It's so interesting. They took the time, but the way I read it, well, let me see. Alicent is in the bathtub. She's with her maids. They're scrubbing. They got little essential oils. She's trying to exfoliate, and they're not exfoliating properly. So she's like, get the fuck out. This is why I get pimples, because of you, Jessica. And then she's like really vigorously scrubbing herself. And I thought like she's feeling dirty. You know what I mean? She knows she's about to have to murder innocence.
Oh, yeah.
And like they're showing this to show her like kind of self-loathing, you know? Is that how you took it?
Yeah, she's feeling dirty because she knows that
Kristen Cole didn't wash his face.
Kristen Cole didn't wash his face. That's definitely not coming out. But I mean, that's part of it too, because she's having this affair. She probably feels a little dirty because of that.
Ooh. Well, she's not married anymore.
Well, true, but she also, I don't think she thinks highly of herself. I don't think she's like a lady like me shouldn't be
riding face.
She's riding face
Dowager Queen
with a Kingsguard who shouldn't be
Lord
having
Commander.
Sex. Yeah, he shouldn't be having sex to begin with. That's against his vows.
I wonder where Harold Westerling is.
Yeah, whatever happened to that guy?
Well, he dies in the book, and they had him just resign in the show. But now it's where is he at?
Yeah.
Is he just gone but alive somewhere now? That's weird.
I miss that guy.
Yeah.
I want to see Graham McTavish.
I was going to say, was that Graham? Sweet.
Yeah, that's fucking great.
Dope ass name. I think that she sent the people away because Larys had just said, "Oh, I fired and had everybody killed. I handpicked all of the new
that's
people."
interesting too.
Oh,
and
good
so she's
pull.
sitting there feeling all exposed to his fucking little spiders, and she's like, "Get the fuck away from me."
Interesting.
I'll do it myself.
I like that. I like the way that she's scrubbing because of the dirtiness, and but then she sent them away because he's like, I picked them all personally to tell me what your butthole looks like.
They also like feet.
Yeah, they're weird.
Yeah, it's very Lady Macbeth of her. The whole out damn spot out. She's
Ah,
grabbing her shoulder.
Shakespeare pull?
Yeah.
If a pulleth?
Hey, me and Bill Shakespeare go back a ways, you know?
Whoa.
It'd be
I didn't know you read.
Bill Shakespeare and Chuck Dickens all at the table having a great time.
Chucky Dickies. Tale of Two Cities. Who was the best of times, the worst of times, my guy. That's all we ever know of that guy. And Scrooge, I think.
Yeah, Scrooge too.
Alicent, she takes a little bath, and then we cut to Rhaenyra, who finds Arax, well, pieces of him, and I think a jacket of Luke, and great scene because you see the small folk. We got a dragon wing. We're gonna sell it on eBay for so much. Oh, fuck! A live one!
There's the rest of it.
Scatter! And she lands and gets to mourn her son. And I like even Cyrax is like sad because that's a dead dragon too, you know? And a dead Targaryen. That's fam.
And there's that little psychic link between the writer and dragon too, right? Is that a little bit of part of it?
Sure. Mm-hmm. Yeah. You said, I said, mommy.
Yeah.
Dang. Oh, sorry.
Dang.
We cut. This is the scene where the petitioners, and it's really hilarious with Aegon II trying really hard to be king.
Aegon the Magnanimous.
And he looks at him magnanimous, and the guy just goes, I don't fucking know. I like how all of his like retainers and even his herald and stuff are all just like his drinking buddies.
Yeah.
Hey, I'm king. And I just imagine he came back that night after the dragon pit and was like, dude, Carl, I'm fucking king, dude. No.
Dude, we should celebrate.
We're going to get so much pussy, dude. Like that was definitely him and his bros.
They have that energy because if you watch them as they're entering, they really just have that like entourage look about them. Like I'm sure Jeremy Piven's in a tunic behind them. Just like, this is a fucking gnar. We're here in the throne room.
We need Walton Goggins in Westeros so bad.
Go outside, nerd.
Touch grass, Stark. He definitely.
What house would he be in?
He'd definitely be a Lannister or something.
Oh,
like, you know what I mean?
He should be one of the tiny little like he's a bracken or some shit.
Touch grass, Blackwood.
Touch grass.
He keeps trying really hard, saying all the wrong things. Otto's losing his mind about the decisions that he's making.
He was like, we could give him his sheep back.
Give him his goats back. Sheep, my lord. Sheep's even better.
Even better.
We can't do that, my lord. We need them to feed the dragons. Oh.
We've all been like that at work, though, where it's like, yeah, sure, goats. No, they're sheep. Sure, even better.
Don't care.
I wasn't listening.
2 hours till my shift's over. Yep. Don't give a fuck. You're a problem, Otto. Yeah, so he does his best. Then we cut to Larys waiting for Aegon outside. And at first he's like very complimentary and mewling like, oh, he's the very image of Jaehaerys the Conciliator himself, my lord. And such a good way with the small folk, much like your father, which none of that is true. He couldn't be further from Jaehaerys and Viserys. And then he said, let me talk to you a little bit, you know, isn't Otto kind of a dick? I feel like he's holding you back.
It seems like he's trying to, I don't know, control you.
But you can't be controlled.
Right? Because you're a boss.
You're a wild fucking dragon.
You're magnanimous.
A cock of your length and girth shouldn't be curtailed by the likes of Otto.
Otto can't constrain a man who jerks out of a window.
No, it's like a 9-inch tuna can, my lord. That's what I heard. So he's just like gassing him up to sow dissent betwixt him and Otto. And then Otto goes to Alicent's room and she's like, I asked for you hours ago. So we get this kind of idea that she's angry at him, but also he was spurning her, you know?
Sorry, I was out being a bitch.
Don't make me sad, you guys. I don't like you. You know, she's upset that he keeps undermining her at the small council meetings. And to his credit, he's like, you know what? I didn't see it that way. You're right. You know, we do have the same goal here. The kids are definitely sociopaths. Is what it is. We love them. They're murderers. They do weird shit.
Yeah.
It's probably our fault.
Of youth.
We probably raised them. So I don't know if that says anything about us. I don't think so.
I don't think so.
Nah. They were just born that way. It's the blood of the dragon. But yeah, they kind of get realigned there. We just got to kind of chill.
Yeah, because Alicent's like, you can't undermine me in court because then the boys who I have a little bit of control over now will see that they don't have to listen to me, and I'm the voice of reason in that room.
And but he says you have to acknowledge that the path to victory is one of violence at this point. And she says, yes, but not wanton violence. And he like takes a sip of his wine. Yes. Which is like implied like, sure, nerd.
I say wonton.
And then
That's such a good line. Path to victory now is one of violence.
Yeah, it's good. It's good, man. Who's writing
Give
this?
me Cersei, I choose violence vibes.
Ooh. We cut to the Valyrian blockade, and there's some ships taking over some other ships. Prepare to be boarded. And it is Eric with an E who is...
And I'm Eric.
Sworn to Rhaenyra. They find Missaria, the White Worm, Daemon's ex-girlfriend, in as a stowaway. They bring her to Daemon. He's angry because he knows that she helped Otto find Aegon as the White Worm. She's like, I'm not loyal to Hightowers or anybody. It's money, baby. Whoever's got the money.
Who's got the coin? I help them out.
And she says to him, I possess nothing of value to you, Daemon, like point blank. Like, we're toast. We're done. I
don't like you.
And he leaves. Eric stands up for her, which I thought was strange. And Daemon's like, dude, why do you care, nerd?
Yeah.
Nerd, what's up? It's an issue of honor, he says. And then Daemon gets upset. Oh, was it honor that made you stand by as they usurped the throne? And he's like, you know what? Yeah. You're right. That sucked. However, it was awkward. I like this
counterpoint.
Counterpoint. My brother and I both swore an oath to protect the entirety of the whole royal family. So what do we do when they start fighting each other? Awkward.
Yeah.
And,
it reminded me of some of the great classic Jaime Lannister bits where he would always talk about like the different the like taking an oath isn't black and white in the real world. You know what I mean?
Right.
Because oaths make it seem like it's a black or white decision, but often real life is a lot more murkier than what oaths allow. So it's a little hard to tiptoe around those sometimes.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Well said, Jaime Lannister. Then we cut to Rhaenyra. Well, she returns while he's down there talking to Eric.
And that music is so fucking fire.
Oh my God. And you hit and you
shots
hear
behind her back.
You hear Cyrax was what cues Daemon. I'm a dragon.
Cyrax.
Because he's a Pokemon.
Yeah.
Cyrax.
I wish they did that.
It would help keep all the dragons separated.
Rhaegar.
Baelish.
Vhagar's definitely like the Bulbasaur.
Vhagar. We could do this all day.
What does Caraxes do? I want to know.
We've lost
Big red noodly boy. Rexy.
I wish you could have, audio listeners, I wish you could have seen Andy's face when he did that.
Anyway.
We just lost so many listeners.
That's if the dragon were Pokemon. But
who's that dragon? It's Pikachu.
Fuck. So no. Rhaenyra returns. She gets announced into the Dragonstone equivalent of a throne room, and everybody's like this very like won't look her in the eye because she looks fucking crazy. Obviously, they know how sad she is. Daemon is touching. He puts his forehead to hers, kind of like a wiener dog does to Steve.
Mm-hmm. Oh, that was so sweet.
Yeah. Did you find what you needed? Mm-hmm. She nods, goes to the head of the table. They start to try to give her reports. Like, hey, Harrenhal's ready to be secured. I think that's important that we secure the Riverlands. The blockade is in place. Nobody's going to get anything into King's Landing. And she's just staring. And then she goes, I want Aemon Targaryen. Walks away. And Daemon's like, I don't need to be told directly. I'm going to go ahead and act. Mm-hmm. I get what you're saying, girl.
Yeah.
I'm on it as my queen demands.
Because he sucks in an awesome way. You know what I mean?
In an awesome way.
I mean, that's the best way to put it.
Totally.
Daemon visits Mysaria, the White Worm, and says, hey, don't you know some people that know how to get through the Red Keep? And she's
like, right? Huh? Said, you got some homies, right?
Yeah, you got some peeps down there. She's like, look, I'm not in your thrall anymore. By the way, I forgot to say, did they fix her accent?
I think.
Because it was like one of the most atrocious, terrible things about season 1 was what Mysaria was doing with her accent. Because we've met so many characters from Essos before that it didn't seem necessary that, she delivered the lines in that way. Mm-hmm. And I just feel like it's so much more subtle and awesome now.
I can't.
Am I crazy?
I can't speak for that because I don't necessarily remember exactly how her accent was.
Very thick.
Because I was one of the people
I don't know how Sonoya Mizuno talks in real life, so I don't want to be rude, but I think it was very much I know it was a conversation online. Like, what the fuck is going on with Mysaria?
I remember people being mad about it, but it never bothered me, so I didn't really pay much attention to it, if I'm being honest.
I don't remember.
We're going to show a clip of season 1 after we're done recording this, and you'll get reminded. Okay. It is wild.
Okay.
But also the wigs are better this year too. I feel like there were some like wig problems in season 1. I don't know. I just think off the charts, everything's improved. I'm fucking ready.
Yeah.
But Mysaria, he asked her to go basically, do you know anybody in Red Keep? And she's like, I'm not your friend anymore. And he's like, well, how about a transaction then? I'll give you your freedom in exchange for the info. And she's like, I do be doing that. I do like transactions. And then we get Lucerys reporting to Rhaenyra, and what I think is a just catastrophically beautiful scene where
so fucking good.
He's trying to be a man and just give her the info, and they haven't seen each other since Luke died yet. But that's his mommy, you know what I mean? And so he's like, I got the 2,000 men. They're really old and creepy.
They keep pitching my butt.
And then he's trying to deliver this military report to her, and she's just like, come here, baby. You know what I mean? Like, and they both break down.
Oh my God. I was tearing up in this scene.
I was a fucking mess in the theater. And then just now I cried again watching. Like, it's just, that hits. Incredible scene. So, and then there's this neat scene, like juxtaposed with, it's like Alicent lighting these memorial candles for many people while Rhaenyra and her family have this, like, they don't have a body, so they can't do the funeral pyre that they would normally do as a Targaryen family, but they have some kind of funeral for Lucerys. And at the end, as they're lighting the pyre and throwing things in it, she lights a candle for Lucerys as well.
Yeah, that was a really good touch. Who was the first person she named? Someone
her mom.
Florent, yeah.
That was her mom.
Yeah, Allery Florent. Is her brother still around? Is Gwaine Hightower still around?
We don't get to meet, because like Otto's not even the Lord of Hightower. He's got an older brother.
Hobart.
Yeah, Hobart.
Oh, Hobart's his bro.
We don't meet any of those folks. It's just
Gwaine's in the first season because Gwaine jousts Daemon.
And Gwaine is supposed to be, I don't know if this happened in the show, but Gwaine is supposed to be the leader of the Gold Cloaks.
Oh.
And they're supposed to have imprisoned and murdered all of the Daemon loyal captains of the Gold Cloaks and installed new people.
Well, I fucked that up.
Well, not all of the loyals, but like all of the loyal captains.
Oh,
you know,
okay.
like
I
people
see
that are in charge. There's like for each gate that is an entrance into King's Landing, there's a captain, and they put 7 new ones in charge, and then Gwaine to be in charge of the whole Gold Cloaks. So
I really like the scene with Alicent going to church and praying because it's cutting back and forth between her.
If you're scared, go to church.
It goes back and forth between her honoring Allery Viserys and Lucerys, but and cutting to Lucerys' funeral, and everyone's sad. And there was a really, we talked about it off air, but there's a really good cut where they cut to, is it Rhaena? Was Rhaena the daughter that was betrothed to Lucerys? But they cut to her sad because her betrothed is dead, and it just it
and
really,
her cousin.
And her cousin, yeah. It kind of really sells how those kids are like a real tight-knit group because they were ride or die since they were kids. I mean,
literally.
Luke and Jace literally like took out Aemon's eye for their honor, basically.
You took my cousin wife's dragon.
You took my eye.
Uncle brother, I hate you.
I hate you, Uncle brother.
They're fucking redneck.
Oh my God. Can this show please be redone with like thick redneck accents?
That's my fucking cousin.
That's my dragon.
Fuck your trees.
I don't know you.
Daemon's just always chugging beers and starting fights.
I'm going to go to the store. I'm going to buy some ciggies. I'm going to get in my truck. And we're going to fiddle out this business with the greens. Lickety split, I'll tell you what.
Dragons are just pickup trucks.
I got the biggest dragon Vagar in all the land. It's a
Hemi.
4-seater.
It's a crew cab Hemi.
It's only got 200,000 miles on it.
I bought it new on the dealership.
Anyway, then we get to see Daemon return to his crime hoodie. Crime hoodie. Crime hoodie's
Yay.
back. Daemon, he's consistent, if nothing else. I'm up to no good. I need my crime hoodie.
Why don't we sell an actual hoodie in the streaming thing store that
Called a
is
crime
just
hoodie?
a black hoodie that just says crime hoodie on the front of it?
Or it should say Daemon's crime hoodie. We don't want anyone to get in trouble.
People start actually committing crimes with the streaming thing.
We don't want to get sued.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, so he enters the city from the water. Secretly pays a guy in there. Goes to one of his old gold cloak buddies.
Fuck the Hightower. That guy had a real deep voice.
That guy's awesome.
Fuck the Hightower.
Yeah. I'm clearly up to no good. I was born to no good because of this voice.
He's definitely not any good.
You got to be kind with this voice.
He's a cop in the city, and he's and it tribute
I'm actually a kindergarten teacher.
Listen how this sounds. I love you. It's weird. See what I'm saying?
We're going to work on our colors today, class.
Green.
Does anyone know what sound the cow makes? I don't want any trouble, sir.
That's right. So they hatch their plan. Daemon pays him, and they find this rat catcher, and his name was given to them by the White Worm, Massaria. He's a gambler. He's got debts. He bets on bones and dogs, which I didn't know they had like craps back then, but apparently they do.
Is that what
or
bones
dominoes?
is?
Bones is dominoes.
Bones is dominoes. Yeah.
Okay, I wasn't sure what bones was.
It'd be funny just slapping it down. I don't see him play some bones. But he gives them a whole heap of gold. I'll give you the other half if you kill Aemon Targaryen. What if we can't find him? And then it just cuts. And the implication there is that Daemon said, well, give me a son then, if you can't find Aemon. My understanding is that he's pretty good in a fight, so be careful. I like that touch. Because Aemon would fuck Blood and Cheese up.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So they're grateful they didn't find him, you know?
Speaking of One-Eyed Willie, he's having a talk with Cole.
Yeah, we cut to Aemon. He's talking with Cole, and they're scheming. He's talking about the
Do we need a toehold at Harrenhal?
Taking the crown
plan,
lands.
the plan for the crown lands and the river lands and all this stuff. And Cole's like, yeah, it's fucking decent, dude. It's fucking decent. But sucks. My mother sucks, so we can't do any of that.
Yeah, my mom hates me. She blames me for starting this whole war, even though like it was her coup.
And Kristen Cole is so like Rhaenyra pilled that he's just like, and your mother though, she's been sucked into the deep web of the evil of Rhaenyra. Like
she's
like
spider.
So it's not her fault that she's completely clouded by Rhaenyra's gaslighting. You know what I mean? Like he's just completely delusional in his hatred of Rhaenyra. But that doesn't convince Aemon. He's like, oh, she shows love for her enemy. That makes her a fool.
Cold-blooded.
Cold-blooded? Kristen Cold-blooded?
Kristen Cold-blooded.
At that point, Otto shows up and tries to, chastise Aemon. Look, your brother likes to make children file their teeth and fight, right? So we need you to chill. We need you to chill. Because he can't control his impulses, so you need to control yours, right? I know you have zeal to act. He's like, but there are plenty of things you can't yet see. And the implication there was because you have one eye. There's at least half of things that you can't see, buddy.
Got anything coming at you?
Yeah, from the left.
Otto left that meeting going, got him.
That's a metaphor he can understand because he has one eye. And then we see Blood and Cheese, which is how they're known in the book. Blood because one's bloody and cheese because of the Ratcatcher guy. This is Ratcatcher 2's dad, by the way. Weird lore.
Nice cut.
We see Blood and Cheese with a puppy.
As soon as I saw that puppy, I'm like, oh, I don't like this. I don't like where this is going. That guy has a puppy.
Not a good look.
I was like, how's this dog going to play into this situation?
Dude, I guess it could be a rat sniffing dog. It doesn't. It's like, it's for me to kick when I get angry.
Yeah,
I'll bring it so I don't hurt a human.
The dog's the one that holds Helena at knife point.
I thought for sure it was. I thought for sure it was going to be like use a dog and the little children are like, oh, can I pet the puppy? And he's like, sure,
Only if you tell me what sound a doggy makes.
Woof woof.
I would have went with off, but okay.
They see the king in the throne room. And he's partying on the throne. He's drinking with his buddies. Magnanimous. Nobody knows what that means. I'll just say generous. Yeah. Or call me Aegon the Dragon Cock.
Oh, yeah. The untamable beast.
And I think it's interesting that they do that.
Aegon and the boys.
Yeah. The original Aegon the Conqueror forged that throne from the melted swords of all of his enemies. And he made it that way because he said a king should never sit easy. It was kind of a wise thing. And you see, I think purposefully they show this Aegon lounging on it, which wouldn't be possible. It's really stabby and dangerous. Yeah. But also it's like a neat, I think, symbolism of how he's just not fit to be king. You're not supposed to be chilling and drinking and talking about cocks on the throne. That's not what you do.
Yeah,
Come on, bud.
Yeah, you don't do that on that
chair.
chair.
Do that in a different chair.
Whenever you talk about cocks, you should be standing.
Look at that one.
I respect.
Yeah.
Respect the cock.
Respect the
cock. But they sneak on by, and eventually it is a funny conversation because he's like, we got to go upstairs. And then Cheese is like, we can't go upstairs. That's the royal apartments. And he's like,
what the fuck are we doing here?
Where do you think we would fucking find the royals then? And he's like, oh, it's a different group of rat catchers that go up there. I can't be up there. You go on your own. And he chokes him out. And that's when Cheese gets upset and kicks the dog because he agrees to take him up to the royal apartments because he knows the path but doesn't know how to get up or doesn't know his way around. And I will tell you at the premiere, I told you guys this off air, but everyone was so fucking upset when they kicked the dog. Like half the theater went, oh. And
I did.
When what happens next happened, I mean, there wasn't half the amount of outcries and, upset people.
They're crickets.
People just love dogs.
Yeah.
Fucking get them.
And I think they did that on purpose to make it like a more upsetting scene because they kind of made it less upsetting by far than it was in the books.
Yeah.
But they were like, but we'll have him kick a dog. Yeah. And the writers were like, oh, that's going to fuck people up.
Yeah. That's way worse.
And
that's the only reason they brought the dog was to make you hate that guy.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, because you are almost, as the audience, I feel like, and I could be wrong, you're almost primed to kind of like these dudes simply by the fact they're working for Team Rhaenyra. Like, you're just automatically like, oh, yeah, Team Rhaenyra, let's go. Yeah, go get Aemon. And then when he kicks the dog, you're like, oh,
Kinda. And you think they're there to kill Aemon if you haven't read the book, right? So you're like, oh yeah, fuck that guy. I like him, but like I get it. So they actually pop out in the room that Aemon was in with Cole and Otto a minute ago. And they like steal all the little coins they were using as chess pieces and stuff. Like, I'm gonna take these. And then Blood goes off on his own. He runs into a queen's maid and she can tell. He's like, you're an awful big, strong, armed rat catcher.
Oh, these swords are for the rat.
Yeah. You never know. Some of these motherfuckers are big. Ooh, scary. And they have swords.
You should see I caught one yesterday. I called it Valyrian the Dread. It was so big.
Well, got a skull of the rat in the dungeon. And then Cheese, when he finds him, has Queen Helena at knife point, and he's so happy about it. And I love how Blood's like, who the fuck is that? It's the queen. The queen's not a son. I know a son when I see one, and that's not one. Look there.
The children sleeping in the bed.
And Jaehaerys and Jaehaera are asleep in their beds. And yes, I guess I want to jump to this now. I mean, we're at the big event. What did you guys think of how the show handled Blood and Cheese? Andy?
I feel like it was more sadistic the way it happened in the book. And I'm confused as to why they did it this way instead. Except for what we talked about with like, is there the third child or not?
I don't even know for sure if Maelor exists.
Right. So if Maelor doesn't exist in this world, then they did fine. But if Maelor does exist, then why not do it the way that it was in the book? Because I thought that it was more sadistic. It did a better job of planting like why Helena has the rest of her experience as she does in the books. Compared to like right now, it's just something super fucking traumatic that happened to her as opposed to like feeling complicit in it, But other than that, I mean, I thought it was great. I thought it was really weird how they're just like, oh, let's fucking get the little guy. And she's just like, cool, I'm going to bounce,
Well,
like,
we've always kind of portrayed her as like touched.
Yeah.
I
just meant like they didn't stop her from leaving. They're like, we're going to fucking get him. And she's just like, I'm going to grab the other kid.
That's the bigger part that I have problem with.
Take off.
More than the Maelor stuff.
Yeah.
What about you, Steve?
I thought the lead up to it was really good. Like I said, I mentioned earlier, there was some great tension, specifically with the score. I think the score in this scene is really, really.
I have score in all
doing
caps.
a lot of work. Because I think if the score isn't happening, I don't think the scene is half as good.
And the sound design in general, because when they're killing Jaehaerys, you can hear like the.
Yeah, and the fact that you don't see it makes it a little.
And they also
worse.
put in Jaehaerys being cute at the beginning of this episode intentionally,
with little horsey rides, and all that stuff, and so that's awful. I do think it's weird that they let her escape. I don't mind that she's just like, okay, bye, because she is just trying to at least save one of her kids and get out of there.
I took that as like shock.
Definitely,
totally.
Yeah. And like you said, she's always been depicted as not all
kind of an oracle too.
Yeah,
like they're going with that. I'm scared of the rats.
Scared of the rats. They're the rats.
I'm also confused about the whole bit where it's like, which one's the son? And she points at one. He's like, she's fucking lying. She wouldn't give up the air. And the other one like stares into her eyes like, no, she's telling.
That's the complete reverse of the book, right? So in the book, first off, Alicent is in there. They have her tied up and gagged to watch all of this, which I think is like more effective. They could have turned this into like a straight The Strangers horror movie, Instead, it's just Helena, and then they have fucking Allison in there riding Kristen Cole, which I think is diabolical for a different reason. Like she was shirking her duty, just riding Cole's pole.
Cole's pole. Doing her own
in the
lance.
book, there's 3 kids, Jaehaerys, and Maelor, and they make her choose which one. You know what I mean? And she says Maelor, who's only like 4, because he's her logic was that he's the youngest and he'll like know what's going on the least and be the least affected by it or whatever. And he says, okay, and then kills Jaehaerys and then says, your mother wanted you dead to Maelor and leaves. That's fucked up, right? And so, it's just like this way more diabolical situation. And I kind of wish they had done something like that. You know?
And the show has always sort of posited that the histories are incorrect. And I do like the idea that they are playing with that certain point of view type thing, because I could see like maybe next episode that Alicent and them will craft that story that they were there, because someone might be like, well, where were you?
Oh, that's good, Steve.
Definitely wasn't riding Kristen Cole's pole.
Yeah, I was in there. He tied me up.
He tied me up. I couldn't do anything. Helena, right?
She was tied up. That part is true. Yeah, that's interesting, Steve. I like that.
And then they could say that they made her choose and chose the wrong one, just to sort of create that propaganda like, oh man, Team Rhaenyra, they're so evil. Look what they're doing.
Interesting. I like that.
It could also be like even just a fun thing. Like you get the common people talking, I heard they made her fucking choose. You know?
Yeah.
That would be cool.
And how messed up is that?
It was always the case. That's why they call them blood and cheese, because nobody even knows the names of these guys throughout history. And but Helena leaves, takes the other kid, Jaehaerys, to Alicent's room. She's in there riding Cole's pole. And then she says they killed the boy. And that's how the episode ends.
Kind of a downer. Like, like
a little bit.
Downer in terms of like what happened. But when the credits cut, I was like, oh, I wanted a little more.
Welcome back.
Yeah. That's a crazy part to end the episode on. That. You got to think tonight's the big premiere and everybody's gonna be like, oh, fuck. Actually, you're going to have book nerds like losing their minds about the change. But I love your take on it. I think that's 100% what might happen. But yeah, this brings us to our Valyrian Steels, our top 3 favorite moments of the episode. Whoop, whoop. Andy, what is your number 3?
Number 3 is a council meeting with everybody shitting on Tywin Lannister. I just thought it was really funny. It's like, would you like to ride the master coin? And he's like, come on, you little shit. And then even Allison is like, before Tywin's fucking interruption. And he's like, what the fuck did I do?
Well, the way I took that was her deafness at how to actually get her son to do what she wants.
Oh, absolutely.
Like she's not actually mad at Tywin. She just knows she has to spin it that way.
Absolutely. Yeah.
But Tywin's like, fuck, dude.
He's got strays.
It was just like, that was really funny, but also like Otto's like exasperation of like, come on, like we're usurping. We need usurp with me, guys. And then
I made the PowerPoint for nothing.
And then Aegon's just having a grand old time. He's like, being king's pretty fucking sweet, you know?
I thought this was going to suck. This rules. Get it?
I love his one contribution to the council meeting was just going, cunts. He's not even really bothered by
talking about the North and the Vale.
Yeah.
I hope they don't send 2,000 old creepy bastards down here. That would suck.
Could you imagine if they also pinch butts?
If they unleash them upon us?
Here we come to war.
I'll give you $2 for your birthday.
Oh no. It's a graybeard from the north.
They're all just in loincloths.
Oh no.
Steve,
gosh.
what's your number 3?
My number 3 is Aegon hearing petitions. I really did appreciate this little wrinkle into his character where he's honest. He's trying to do good for the small folk. Because like you mentioned, he was this kind of, oh, wow, people love me. And so he kind of wants to help them out in his own way. And the fact that he's just so bad about it, and Otto keeps having to scale the stairs and be like, that's a bullshit plan, my lord. But then at one point when he sees Otto starting to walk up to chastise him again, and he's like, our iron workers are really important, and we kind of need them to win this war. And Otto's like, son of a bitch.
We weren't going to pay those debts.
We were never going to pay. We were going to kill them after we got them. So I just really appreciated that little wrinkle of making that character a little bit more layered and interesting than just the drunken, abusive shit that he was last season. But
you're the worst shit in the Seven Kingdoms. My number 3 is the opening of Winterfell. Just so good to be back there. I think they very much played upon our love and history of Game of Thrones and how much time we spent in the North and with the North, and that the people talk like this for no reason. Cregan Stark, I think, was perfectly cast. Just love all of that. You know, the lore, being back on the wall, all of the allusions to the fight that is to come against the White Walkers. Just good stuff. So fucking happy to be back there. I was so hyped, baby. Andy, you're number 2.
Number 2, Rhaenyra's return to Dragonstone. That music did 90% of the lifting of that sequence, but like shot falling from behind her back, we get the table. There's like all the candles lit, and they're like, the blockade's doing great, my lady, and this is doing great, my lady, and she's just like, I want fucking Aemon, and that's it, and storms off. So fucking epic.
Indeed.
I want her.
That's my number 2 as well, Andy. For everything you just said, she doesn't say, I think that's the only line she has this episode is I want Aemon. And so when she finally really kind of speaks to someone else and everyone's wondering how she is, and she's clearly been crying a bunch, her hair's kind of in a tizzy, and just the way she just turns around and just like spits that line out. It's like, oh, get him. Yes. And plus that little exchange she has with Daemon as well.
Yeah, the loving headbutt.
That's a fascinating couple, especially for TV. But that's my number 2 as well.
Is my number 2 as well.
We all everybody.
The re-entry of Rhaenyra into that, the war room there. How to stop worrying and love the dragon. I really
nice. Good Dr. Strangelove pull there.
I think Emma Darcy is everything and should be given all of Taylor Swift's money and
specifically her money.
I just slay. Yeah, it's a wonderful moment, but it's kind of piggybacking off my number 1. So I'm going to give that to Andy. What is your number 1?
My number 1's Rhaenyra and Jace. I think that's going to be all of our number 1s. It's such a fucking sad, heartfelt, wonderful fucking sequence where he's trying to like, the unspoken between them, like the Aries down and we got a bunch of butt pinchers too. Yeah. And just like him falling apart trying to do it. And then, it's his mommy. And it's just, I was sitting there crying. It's so fucking good.
Yeah, Steve? It's my number 1 as well. I mean, it's well acted between the two. Just seeing how much pain she's in and her seeing how much pain he's in, and then they finally come together and embrace each other. Like, I was wallowing. Just a beautiful human moment between two actors. It was great.
And mine as well. It's my number 1. It's one of my favorite moments of the entire show already. It's not quite Viserys stumbling into the throne room to protect Rhaenyra. That's one of my all-time favorite moments of TV, period. But it's such a fucking highlight so far. And it broke me down twice, baby. So I got to put it as my number 1, which brings us to our dragon eggs. Andy, do you got anything to pull out here?
Not really.
Okay. You don't have to, buddy.
No. I mean, just little dumb shits that like we pointed out during the episode. We're like, oh my God, that's fucking ice on his shoulder. And like, that's cool.
Yeah.
They're hinting at the war to come. It's Cregan Stark. But like, there was nothing where I'm like, ooh, deep cut,
Steve?
Yeah, I did you guys realize that at a certain scene they were at the town of Hull? Which is, but Hull is this like sort of seafaring town that's right outside of Driftmark, and that's kind of where all the ports for Driftmark
and then there's Spice Town. There's some other towns there.
Yeah, but so that was
there's
just fun to
Gas Town.
see. Blood and cheese are going. There's Gas Town. Is there Flavor Town? Is that nearby?
I was making a Furiosa reference, but you went straight for Fieri.
I went for a Fieri reference. You're going Furiosa, I go Fieri.
I love it.
They talk about Maegor's tunnels.
Kristen Cole went to Flavor Town.
You're goddamn right.
And then, I talked about Maegor's tunnels. I feel like we've talked about Maegor's tunnels a bunch in the show. But
he built the Red Keep.
Yeah, he built the Red
Maegor's
Keep.
Holdfast.
Maegor's Holdfast.
Killed everybody afterwards.
The other ones I had, we kind of already talked about, like with the wall and Alicent's journey and all that stuff.
Yeah.
We kind of went over that stuff.
I have one, but I don't know if it's going to be addressed or not. And it's not really a spoiler, so I'll go ahead and say it. So as a result of this, it was Blood was Cheese was a rat catcher. And so like they know that a rat catcher was involved, and they get rid of all the rat catchers in King's Landing as a result of this, right? And instead fill King's Landing with cats. And so that is why when Arya is running around many, many years later, King's Landing is fucking full of cats. It's because of this.
It might be not addressed, but very neat. I didn't even put that together with Arya chasing cats thing.
Yeah. She's like, there's so many fucking cats at King's Landing.
That's why.
Because they got rid of the rat catchers.
Yeah, because they be stabbing. I got a couple things. Just a brief mention of the Conqueror and the King in the North. The history of that is Torrhen Stark was known as the King who knelt.
He's the one in the opening credits.
He is. And he says that you had something about, you were honorable enough not to threaten me with your dragon, because that's how Aegon showed up. He just landed in Winterfell with Valyrian, kind of like the way Visenya did to the Eyrie, and was like, what's up? And Jacaerys was much more respectful. He kind of knocked on the door and was like, hello.
Hello.
Here to see the Lord of Winterfell. My lord.
Isn't there there's a fun story about, Aegon lands and they're like across a river or a lake or something. And so the Starks,
they march through the Reach
they can see the Targaryen sort of like army and they see the dragons, and that's why Torrhen's like, man, we can't, all our people are going to kill, we can't fight them. But his bastard brother, Brandon Snow's like, hear me out. Got a plan. In the middle of the night, we'll row across the lake and we'll just kill the dragons while they sleep.
Sleepy dragons. Everybody knows. Give him a little melatonin.
Yeah. Got him. That's what do you think that guy's the dumbest dude in the world or like the smartest? Brandon's
I'm going for the former.
The dumbest?
Yeah. I'm going for the former. I wonder, you think Sarah Snow might pop up? Because they didn't show any of Jace up there. So I'm just curious about all that.
Yeah.
And then you talked about Alysanne and Jaehaerys being up at the wall as well. I want to talk about Larys Strong. The show depicts him as just some creepy bastard who jacks off to feet and is able to murder staff members. And they're like, oh, good job.
What do you do here, Larys?
I
just hang out in the hallways.
He is the Lord Confessor. He's like in charge of torturing people. He's similar to what Varys is in Game of Thrones. He's more analogous to Varys. And I just think it's interesting that they don't really call him Lord Confessor or anything. He just looks like he's lurking. And I killed a chef, my lady. Oh, good. At least you're doing something.
You're doing great. Do you think his small council ball and dish is like in a cupboard so he's like always just creeping like?
It's next to, I think it's probably in her sock drawer. If I had to guess.
He's
clocking in.
He's like, time to go to work.
Exactly. And also it was touched upon because they're like, Commander. But when he shows up to talk to Blood, I just want to remind everybody that Daemon was the commander of the Gold Cloaks, the City Watch, for a number of years. And that's why he was able to get in so easily.
He's the reason why they're called Gold Cloaks.
Yeah, he gave them the Gold Cloaks. There's a line in the book that's one of the guys is pissed. And he's like, you turn cloak, which is like a way to say traitor in the Seven Kingdoms. And he's like, both the sides of the cloak are gold, you fucking idiot. Because Daemon's their dude, So they're still loyal to him. So that's why that happened. Which brings us to our final segment, our Mummer's Dragon, our favorite performance of the episode. Andy, who are you going to go with?
I'm going to give it to Tom Glenn Carney.
Yeah.
Aegon.
Very deserved.
He was just funny, man. It was like this really interesting human side where he carried a lot of this episode for like the levity and the foreshadowing and stuff. And all of the big things that happen right to the people that he's interacting with. And so like the scene, like in retrospect, looking back on those scenes, it's like, oh my God, this is like the last time that you're going to, chill with your son and stuff. But in the moment, it's just like, you're letting take your child to work today and stuff like that. And then fucking around, the dragon cock and stuff is just a good time.
Yeah. Steve, who are you giving the award to?
Man, this is a tough decision because I think there are 3 really great candidates that you can choose from. And since Andy picked one of the ones that I was going to pick, I'm going to go with the one I don't think Kit will pick. I'm taking a gamble here.
I'm predictable.
I'm gonna pick Olivia Cook as Alicent. I think
she was cooking.
She was
Let
cooking.
her cook.
Let her cook. She continues to be like an incredible character who's great at playing subtlety, who is remorseful of what she's doing, and you can just see on her face that she wants to do what's right, but she's stuck in this horrible situation, and maybe she's just been in this muck of backstabbing for so long that she's starting to become dead to it, but she knows that about herself. And just the fact that she, I don't know, that look that she gives the candle before she lights a candle in memory of Lucerys is a pretty powerful shot. So, Olivia, this one's for you, girl.
I'm giving the Mummer's Dragon Award to, predictably, probably Emma Darcy. They are, I think, the emotional,
they're incredible
keystone to this dragon arch, and just shock me every time with the amount of pathos that they put in. And I was so delighted that they took the time in this episode, time that they really don't have, to deal with Rhaenyra grieving, and how well Emma Darcy was able to do that, I think, is impressive. So that's why I'm giving the award to Emma Darcy, which brings us to the end of our coverage of House of the Dragon Season 2, Episode 1, A Son for a Son. Again, go to patreon.com/streamingthings to get all kinds of bonus rewards, including access to our wild and ribald Discord.
Yes.
Extra bonus episodes like Jaws this month, and then an extra selected film that people will get to vote upon here shortly. As well as every Wednesday, our coverage of Game of Thrones. Super important. So, and very relevant to our coverage here. Email the show at streamingthingspod@gmail.com. Join the conversation. Tune in next Monday for episode 2 of House of the Dragon, as well as this Friday for our continued coverage of season 4 of The Boys. But that's all the time we have for right now. My name is Kit.
I'm Andy. And I'm Steve.
We've got to go return some videotapes, but this has been Streaming Things, streaming House of the Dragon.
Happy streaming.